Hi, it's Rob from OnlineVideoSolutions and welcome to this short first view review, if you like, of the Atomos Shogun that we've just received today on the 22nd of December 2014, just in time for Christmas. You can see it set up here along with the Atomos Samurai blade, and both of them are connected to our Panasonic GH4 using firmware 2.0. They're in fact connected, as you can see, to the Yagi interface at the bottom, with the HDMI going straight into the Shogun and one of the 4 outputs from the SDI going into the Samurai blade. Currently, because of the issue with the GH4, the down convert does not work properly, so I'm forced to show the Samurai blade as 1/4 of the 4K image. So when we later on move the camera further back and bring a color card and mannequin in, you'll see that the Samurai blade will actually be zoomed in, purely because that firmware is not yet available. However, on the good side, you do get 4K 25p straight out of the GH4 into the Shogun, no problem at all, no firmware required other than 2.0 on our camera. That is to say, it's coming through the Yagi interface. So if we gently move the tripod so you can see it from the side, there you can actually see the units and how thin they are from the side, comparable. You can see that the Shogun is considerably thinner than the Samurai. It does only, if we turn it to the back, you'll see it does only have one battery, whereas obviously with the Samurai you can have 2 batteries. There may well be some kind of adapter that comes out in the future where you can have more than one battery, but you can also see there on the Shogun the adapter, the HDD or SD adapter that goes in. One thing to note though, this adapter and the one inside the Samurai are not compatible, in the sense that you can't use the Samurai hard drive adapter on the Shogun. There are 2 grooves, one on each side here when you slot the drive in, and if you try and use an old adapter you simply won't be able to use it. But fear not, you're getting 5 adapters. When you buy the Shogun, you get 5 adapters in the case, so that should be enough at least to get you started. So let's turn it back the other way so you can have a look at the unit from the other side. And then we're actually going to go in and have a look at the Shogun closer in. So that's essentially what it looks like from the side, and that's a comparable size and shape, etc., compared to the Samurai blade on our GH4 rig. Right, so here we have the close-in shot of the Atomos Shogun, and you can see many of the features on the screen itself. A really high quality, crystal clear 1900 by 1200 screen, which leaves you the small little amount of space here for a lot of the controls. You can see here plugged into the GH4 we've got an HDMI input. If I touch any one of these at the top, you get this nice little table coming up that in fact shows you a lot of the features that are working currently. So for example, source is HDMI, the video in is 4K 25p. There's no color correction. If we do tap on that, you get the 5D Mark III, tap again, and it takes you back to none. So there's just slight color correction for the 5D Mark III if you're still shooting on those. The timecode trigger, if we click on that, you get HDMI, none, and timecode, and you obviously can enable it on and off as well. I did test this with the GH4 and it does not work currently with any of the modes that I was able to do coming straight out of the Yagi interface, so it would not trigger HDMI. However, the SDI does trigger when you set the menu option inside the GH4 to trigger via SDI recording. That triggered the Samurai blade perfectly, but not so far the Shogun. Hopefully there will be some kind of firmware update that will allow you to trigger recording straight from the HDMI input. Again, recording obviously in 25p 4K and video out in 4K as well. Currently, I will show you on screen now. You'll be able to see here's a document from Atomos that actually explains what's available with the initial release of the Shogun and what's coming up shortly. Okay, so back to the Shogun itself. So if we close that menu, we then have the standard features very similar to the Samurai Blade, although just a little bit more information along the top, because obviously they can fit a lot more in there now. So we've got the 4K option. If we go to ProRes now, you can see there, ProRes, you can choose the quality. At the moment, we have around 2 hours 50 at ProRes LT. If we go and tap on each one, we go to HQ. We now, if you can see over there, we now have 1 hour 18. And so you'll be able to see how much time. Standard 422 is 2 hours and LT is 2 hours 51. We are using a SanDisk 480 gig SSD. So that'll give you the idea of how much 4K footage you can put on at 25p. Again, you'd have to make the calculations for 30p or 24p. So very nice, easy options to change the recording codec and quality. Again, clicking over here or touching on top, and you can see you can change obviously the file format and the file name, no problem at all. Let's go out of there. The very last one, we're actually going to go in. I am actually going to go and format this now. So if we just format the SSD drive, there we go, that's formatted. And then on the very far right hand side, you can see if you only have the single battery, you can also put in AC. So it does come with AC adapter in the box, and so you could run, as I would probably, for long shoots with a battery and AC adapter at the same time. So moving down to the bottom here, we can see the audio, and I will do a test to show you, or for you to hear, what the audio sounds like with the audio coming straight in using the Lemo adapter. And I will use a wired lapel Sennheiser phantom powered mic plug straight into the XLR in of the Lemo adapter, and I'll run the various input gains so you can hear what that sounds like. Okay, so here we can see the audio, and I've zoomed right into the audio itself. We now have the Lemo connector adapter plugged into the Shogun, and I'm using the Sennheiser wired phantom powered lapel mic. So no options on the mic itself to increase or decrease gain. This is purely plugged onto my shirt, and so now we have to listen in and see what the gain is like, or what the noise floor is like on the Shogun. So we're currently set to 0 dB input gain, so there's no additional gain being added by the Shogun itself at the moment. I'm now going to increase this in 1 dB increments, and hopefully you'll be able to then listen to and make a decision on what you think the noise floor is like with audio coming straight into the Shogun itself. So we now have 1 dB gain. 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm just going to now gently ramp it up all the way up to 20 dB. Okay, so we're now at 20 dB, and there you can see where the audio meter is triggering, or where it's falling, using 20 dB, which is probably what I would like for the audio meter to hit for normal voice recording. So this is just me talking normally now in my office. It's not completely soundproof, as you can hear, but certainly it will give you an idea of what the noise floor is like and what I would think would be a reasonable audio input gain level. So what we'll do now is just take it back down to 10 dB, for example. So there we are. We're now at 10 dB gain going into the Shogun using this wired lapel mic. And we'll now take it all the way back down to 0 again. So there we go, back at 0 dB. And this is just a quick test, and I'll make the file available for download so that you can take the raw ProRes LT file and have a listen in on your own editing software to see whether this is acceptable. You may obviously have a better quality mic, but I suggest this mic is reasonably good. Okay, so now you've heard what it sounds like, the various options. We can have a look here and you can see that using XLR input, you have to use the one on the left-hand side there, or sorry, on the right-hand side, on my right. And here is the standard one. So if you were recording using embedded audio, you would choose those options. If you were recording using XLR straight into the Shogun itself, then you would choose the two on the right-hand side there. You can choose audio in, so mic level. If you touch it again, it goes to Pro Audio. The 48 volt is grayed out, you can't touch it. And you've got line level. So the only way to get 48 volt phantom power is to use the mic level. You can also output it at a raised dB if you like, and you can change. If you look over there, you can now see that we have all 8 channels, or all 12 channels should I say, plus the 2 analog channels. Most often though, probably you'd only need the 2 channels, so you can leave it horizontal. You can move the input gain from all the way down from -20 up to, I got to about 60 and I stopped there, in 1 dB increments. So fairly robust audio options there. And as you've heard, you can see what the noise floor is like as we input the increase the gain. Then you obviously got the record button. You'll see the play button is grayed out. As you saw in the document from Atomos, playback is disabled in this version of the firmware. They wanted to ship the device almost fully working for people who wanted to get using it as soon as possible. In order to review the footage, you'd obviously have to copy it onto your computer or use it through the adapter, the USB 3 adapter for the caddy. If we go into the menu, we've got the standard options that we had with the Samurai Blade. So you can file rename, you've got your time and date, which again I've set up already. Oh, let's go back in there again. Display options, again very similar to what we had before, and you can adjust the screen as well, which I haven't done. Oh, that's quite nice. I haven't actually looked at this, so you can go and adjust the gamma, lift, gain, etc. of the screen. I'm not going to do that right now. We'll just go back into the menu. You've got your time code options, so time of day, record run, auto restart, HDMI in. So I'll just leave it on time of day for the moment. If we then go back, we've got the Shogun info. So at the moment you can see version 6 with all the other information there. And then obviously we can power it off. So if we close this down now, we can see the other 3 options on the right hand side. They are really where the monitoring comes in and adds a lot of professionality to this unit. So the first one there, you can see waveform. If we touch the top there, we get the waveform full screen. Now if I touch again here to remove that, in order to change the waveform, we've got to touch the screen. It goes down in the bottom left corner, touch again, goes right across, touch again, it goes full screen. If we go back in here, you can actually change the transparency. As you can see there, transparency being changed of the waveform itself, as well as the brightness. So moving over, we've also got your RGB parade. That takes up the full screen again, touching on the side there. And again, if we touch in the middle of the screen, all the indicators around the screen disappear. So we touch in the middle again, we bring that back, touch in the bottom corner, and it reduces to a small picture there. And then we also have vector scope. And what I like about the vector scope is obviously it's quite small there, but if we touch, it goes into a fairly big version there, which is quite nice. So if you are trying to do setting it with something like a color card, then you'll get a fairly accurate and easy to see representation using the vector scope. And we can even go into the vector scope there, and if we click or touch on this button over here, I think it's this button, no, this one here, you'll actually get a zoomed in version of the vector scope if you really needed that. Not sure how often one would need that, but there we go. So let's take that off. Okay, so those are the main options over there. Then if we go in over here, we can see the monitor assist. We've got peaking, with the various colors. So if we move along there, you can see all the different colors. Probably just stay on red at the moment. We turn that off. We've then also got zebra, which again we can set there. We'll leave it at 70 for now. And then we've obviously got false color as well. So you can see there on the false color, if we just close that, we're a little bit underexposed at the moment if we use false color as a way of showing the face. And then obviously we have blue channel. So all of these options are very, very similar to the Samurai blade. However, let's go out of this. What is really nice though is this one-to-one zoom. So when we go one-to-one zoom, let's just close this down. You can move it anywhere with your finger here, which is really nice to get a nice close-up. So do we want to zoom in on the eyes? Do we want to lock focus on, for example, the letters there? If we go back in there, we can actually go to a 2-to-1 zoom as well. So we can really get in very close, and we can even use this as well. So we can put our finger inside this little rectangle and move it around. Or if you want more accurate movements, then you can actually put your finger here. Touch again, and the whole thing disappears. So a really nice feature for close-in focusing. I think that's going to be very, very useful, certainly for myself and a lot of other people. So those are the main options. Then again, the very far right-hand one is the same as what we've had in the Samurai blade, where you can favorite and reject parts of the clip. So that's the unit itself. Hopefully that's been useful to you. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave some comments. And thanks so much for watching.